Dr. Kidas, floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to say thanks for the organizing committee to be here and to get the chance to give this lecture. Maybe this lecture will have a quite different mood than the previous excellent scientific lecture, but maybe in some parts it will connect it to this interesting lecture. In my lecture, I would like to talk about my personal feelings about working with probiotics, especially spreading these probiotics, this technology, and these ideas among the people, and household people, or producers, farmers, and to share these experiences. And in other parts, I would like to show some recent progresses, experiences, successes in Hungary, especially in the agricultural. Sorry, it works also. It is better. Okay. So the first is what I had to face, that the modern humanity is thinking in a chemical way. It means that we are expecting immediate and large miracles when we are using a new product or a technology, even if we don't consider its consequences, side effects, or some kind of long-term effects, or those consequences which are hiding the real problems. So this kind of approach to the world is something like, let me tell an example from the Bible, when Thomas sent the evangelist, said that I believe if I see and I believe if I can touch Jesus' bones. So it is something like this. So if we can see immediately very drastic results, we will believe. If we have to face a long-term thinking, applications, and different kind of measurements in this way, we don't like this approach. So it is something like this. And it means really very interesting for me to deal with this technology, because I believe that this technology and the ideas concerning these ideologies will help the modern humanity to think again in a completely different way, not only concentrating the short-term problem solving, which is most of the cases causes other problems or even more difficult problems. Just an example, if you go to the pharmacy, you can see that you can find pills for any kind of diseases, and after a certain time you will find yourself taking 5, 6, 10 types of pills separately for different problems. So my experience, if the people start to work with these probiotics, they thinking will slowly but changing and thinking much more complex way on the world around us. But in the practice, we have to deal with this problem, with this attitude. So since our consumers want a very specific solution for their specific problems, very isolated still, and also at the same time we experience that don't really want to follow our ideas, talking about the complicated relationships between different technological measurements or products and technologies. So they want us to focus on their problems. And the real value of the technology, the product, sometimes it is diluted this way, but we have to follow these attitudes. For example, we have a partner who had problems with the flies, and of course the nearby village had the problems due to the flies. They wanted the fly killer. So if I talk about this great technology, the ideas and the environment and that so on, they don't bother it. They want the flies to go away. So I have to focus on the fly killer, so-called fly killer characteristic of the production, and offer them and solve the problems. Luckily, it is a quite short-term effect of this technology. It is also very funny, they start to use this product and gaining successes. It takes several years to recognize and acknowledge several other so-called side effects, but beneficial side effects. Another point that, at least in Hungary and our market, but I guess in other markets, it is also important to get or to have a very good reference points, reference farms, where they can use successfully this technology. And not only to make trials, to make 1 or 2 tests, but to prolong their usage for years and years. And even after years, to be satisfied and showing that this is really a good technology. So to maintaining the usage and maintaining the effects, we need a very long time, a lot of work, a lot of effort to reinforce all the time the farmers that really it is a good choice, it is a good way, and it is a much better way than, for example, the chemical solutions. So it is a very key step for us to gaining all the time new references in the strategy what I mentioned, to find the specific problems which can be solved relatively in short time with our technology. In the next, I would like to show some good experiences, good reference points in the near past in Hungary. The waterfall usage is not so new. It takes 5 or 6 years. This technology is used in the waterfall industry, which is very strong in Hungary. So in the hatcheries, we are very powerful in exclusion of potential pathogens like E. coli and Enterococcus, with only washing with probiotics, the facilities and the eggs. Also, these observations were supported in the laboratory, so we could show the prevention of E. coli proliferation with the probiotics or the ferments of the probiotics. So that's why we have more and more consumers from the waterfall industry. And other interesting and still successful long-time usage is the rabbit production, which is a very good example of what was shown in the previous lecture. When we use antibiotics, what happens in the microflora in our environment. Here, they started to use the probiotics because they experienced that they use more antibiotics, they will have more problems with staphylococcus infections. So it means maybe the house was missing any kind of microflora. We could imagine that almost staphylococcus was present each time. So that's why they chose finally this probiotic way, changing this very drastic antibiotic disinfectant chemical way with a great success. And it is really a long time solution. It is not only 1 season, 1 year or few months, so it can be maintained for several years. Other good experiences from the broiler production, the salmonella programs in the nowadays the broiler production biggest challenge. So we have very good practical experiences when we check the litter of the broiler houses. So the treated houses shows much less positive salmonella tests. And also we have data from in vitro studies that we have a very good prevention on salmonella proliferation. Also at the same time, the ammonia production can be also efficiently reused in the poultry houses, which is a very important problem. Also, we have gaining good experiences around the horses, so very efficient way of treating any kind of wounds, fungal diseases, physical diseases of the hooves or the skins. We have a new initiations, as I mentioned in the beginning, so it is very important and nice work to change the way of the thinking of the people, of the consumers. So we started it in the technical schools, agricultural technical schools, and luckily with the support of the Agriculture Ministry of Hungary. So this spring we made a proposal for the schools to take a part in the field tests, trials in their special fields to test our products and also to introduce the education of this technology into their education program. And of course we will help in this. And luckily we had some 8 or 10 schools who were immediately ready to take part in this program. And we have just starting very different kind of projects in this field, from horticulture, animal husbandry, different other tests. For example, just a generation test just finished in one of these schools. These works are done strictly by students, of course with the teachers' supervision. Another new result in our field in Hungary, we expected for a long time that it can be good, maybe for the mushroom production, and we met a good potential partner with a company who's producing a large-scale oyster mushroom, and they had also a specific practical problem. They use straw as a compost raw material, but the quality of the straw and the hygienic level of the straw is quite variable. That's why the compost prepared from the straw also variable. That's why the yields and the quality also variable in the oyster mushroom production. So they had these specific problems. They wanted us to make laboratory tests and different kind of scientific measurements that it can be useful for them. But luckily after a few months we managed to get them to make a cheap, small-scale test in the practice, which is the much easier and much direct trial of this technology. And luckily they done this trial and they inoculated the straw before this composting, and after that we were very eager to find the results. So here you can see the production. The straw is inoculated with this mushroom, and they are kept in constant temperature in large houses in these cubes and harvested 2 times. First experience was that the treated straw or the compost after the compost was much quicker to start to grow the mushrooms. So it is a very strong difference. Of course, it means very large practical impact. And also the harvest was the second point, where they found that the harvest is higher than the farm average, especially the second, normally much smaller harvest was highly above the farm average. So they are now very satisfied, not only want to use this technology in the compost production, but also they are planning to sell the compost what is prepared for, especially for this production. Another new reference point, which is very interesting, or it was also necessary to gain a quick success. It was a very special horticultural chrysanthemum production farm, and they work for export. It is an organic chrysanthemum, so they have to avoid chemicals. And one season, 2 years ago, they had a very strong fusarium problems, and they wanted immediate solution without chemicals. And luckily, we managed to develop a technology to get rid of, in the middle of the production of this problem. So they really saved a huge amount of money. Actually, the whole production success was questionable. So he is very convinced and now selling also our material from that time. Also another good example from the dairy cattle farm. So their main problem was the feed problems, different kind of infections, hurts, and so on. And we managed to introduce a very efficient technology with using probiotics, and it caused a very fast relief in these problems for this farm. Organic paprika production, it is a last year success. They are producing a large amount of organic paprika, and they had a really very huge yield increment, and also the time of the production was much longer. Normally they stopped the production at the end of August. Last year they still could maintain a high yields at the end of September. So it was a really huge achievement in that farm. Just finally, I would like to list some factors which can help us in our further successes. First, that we are working very hard to gaining newer and newer reference points, and to find the ways to get the potential consumers. We are present already several supermarkets, several chains, direct marketing. So now it is much easier to get our products in Hungary than in few years ago. There are also some external changes of the world which help us, like the increasing problems of the fungal diseases, especially in the plant production, increasing problems with the mycotoxins, where we can be also very efficient. And also, there are, as we heard, there are more and more banned compounds against the fungal diseases, so that's why the producer need new solutions. Also in the broiler and poultry industry, so there is a much higher demand to get rid of the salmonella, which is actually, it is very difficult in a traditional chemical way. So it is a very promising field for us, especially we can be very efficient and very low cost in this field. So finally, thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Dziękujemy. Może jakieś pytania, bo jeszcze mamy parę minut nadrobione. Są jakieś pytania może do pana doktora Andrasza? Proszę bardzo.
Przepraszam, to ja sobie zadam pytanie. Może nie dosłyszałem. Ilu użytkowników technologii SCD jest na Węgrzech? I jakie są perspektywy rozwoju?
Po angielsku może.
Okay. I couldn't tell it precisely because, as I mentioned, we have a lot of resellers, direct marketing, supermarkets, and so on. But especially from the direct marketing, we know that several thousands of households using it, and not only households, because this direct marketing system is selling also for producers, not only household users. So we have information about the bigger producers who are in direct contact with us. but their number is not so high. So as I mentioned, we are gaining still the reference points. We have the most developed parts, as I mentioned, the waterfall. We have a very good success in the grape production, the winemakers. So they have gained, there is a very fastly increasing demand among the grape makers. With the horticulture, vegetable production, paprika, tomato. So especially the agriculture is the strongest part of the Hungarian progress. Thank you.
My question is, in the application for the hoof bath or the foot bath for the dairy cattle, I couldn't understand from your slide, what is the application rate? How are you applying it for the foot bath for the dairy cattle? And also want to confirm that's to control fungal diseases?
So it is quite variable. It depends on the farm, the type of the farm. Because the bath, feed baths, we generally propose the 10% solution. But sometimes it is too expensive if they are walked through each day. In this case, for example, we suggest just to use this mixture on a wet straw. And each day we just make a wet straw when the animals can go through. So it depends on if they use the feed bath once a week, then it's okay. But if they want to use, they have a larger problem. In that case, instead of the feed bath, we suggest this straw because it can be refreshed each day. So it can be quite continuous. And also, if they have isolated problems in a smaller stock, so we suggest the individual treatment with the spraying directly the feet of the animals. So it is variable depending on the farms, the size of the farms, what cost they can stand. Okay. And there's also fungal diseases, sorry. In the horses, we have really documented experiences for hoof fungal diseases and also from the skin fungal diseases. Very, very efficient, really.
Hello. Hello. I'm interested in a reduction of Salmonella disease. As I'm from veterinarian, that's I would like to ask you. You showed us a good results after the use of probiotics on a farm that was Salmonella. I would like more details about it. For example, it was spraying or it's used in drinking water. How long do you applicate it?
Mm-hmm.
And you examine it before and after it, or that you reduced, or it's possible to reduce because we have a very big problem if the Salmonella is inside when the birds are exist there.
Mm-hmm. It was not a scientific experiment. It was just a response from the consumers. So they said, for example, we had more this kind of experiences. They started to use the probiotics mostly on a litter treatment. And, for example, one producers, they wanted to save a lot of money to save the desinfectant usage. So they just cleaned the house more or less, they just spraying with probiotics, and after that, some tests were better. So it was not worse. And the other observation was precisely what I showed, that they had to collect the litter samples, and they found that in a big farm, they found that the treated houses, they didn't have a positive Salmonella test. But in this case, they were using also in the drinking water as well. Generally, we suggest the spraying the litter 2 times a week. But in the reality, I guess they use maximum once a week. So that's why, and I see it is the biggest problem in the spraying in the practice, because they don't have facility and worker to do this regular spraying. So that's why, for example, we are working on to using bokashi in the litter for example, in a broiler, when in a short production period, maybe with the bokashi we can maintain a higher defenses, even if they're spraying or not spraying or missing the spraying and so on.
Excuse me, we have to finish. Thank you very much. Dziękuję, pani doktor.